Hello, another time. Case studies, they call them teaching tales from Dr. Milton Erickson, and my voice will go with you. First one is called Your Alcoholic Has to Be Sincere. A very wealthy man said to me, came to me and said, I'm an alcoholic and I want to quit. I said, well, there are a few things I'd like to know about you. Are you married? He said, yes, very much married. What do you mean very much married? Well, we own a summer cottage 10 miles from nowhere. It's a beautiful place. I could afford to have it fixed up beautifully. My wife and I often spend 2 or 3 weeks there. We can catch trout from a trout stream by putting our poles out the bedroom window. There's no telephone. We're 10 miles from civilization. It's beautifully furnished. Every kind of food and booze that can be bought is there. And every summer, my wife and I spend about 2 or 3 weeks there in the nude, really enjoying life. I said, all right, it will be very easy for you to cease to be an alcoholic. Have your wife drive up to the cabin, collect all the booze, and put it in the car. Put your clothes in the car too. Remove any other clothes that are there and bring them back to Phoenix. She can have a friend drive her up there at night and she can turn over all the clothes to her friend. And the two of you can have a delightful 2 weeks, 3 weeks, living on trout and being free of booze. I know you won't walk over the desert for 10 miles to get a bottle of booze. He said, Doctor, I think I'm mistaken about wanting to quit drinking. But that would have been the perfect way, and your alcoholic has to be sincere. Commentary. In his use of the phrase, you're alcoholic, Erickson is underlining his belief that a therapist, once having accepted a patient, assumes a great deal of responsibility for that patient's progress. If you, as a therapist, accept an alcoholic as a patient, he becomes your alcoholic. Since the man in this story refused to follow Erickson's prescription, he was not accepted as a patient and remained his own alcoholic. The next one is called claustrophobia. Another patient had claustrophobia. She couldn't bear to be shut up in a small room. Her mother had punished her as a child by putting her in the outdoor entrance to the cellar, closing the door, then clicking her heels as she walked down the street, deserting the girl. She had clicked her heels on the sidewalk, making the girl think that she was going far, far away. And the girl grew up with an absolute phobia for small rooms. So I asked her to sit in the closet of my office. She said, I'll do it only if the door is wide open. I said, suppose instead of having the door wide open, it lacks 1 millimeter of being wide open. And she agreed. She stayed in the closet with the door wide open, except for 1 millimeter. And then she worked up to 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, a centimeter, half an inch, an inch. And how open did she have to have that door? So she stood in the closet and slowly closed the door. I waited to see when her panic would develop. She found she was comfortable even when the door was only half an inch open, and she kept her hand on the doorknob. Finally, she closed it and found out she could live and breathe in that closet with the door closed, as long as she had the doorknob in her hand. Then I suggested she might try looking through the keyhole. Since she could see outside through the keyhole, she didn't have to hang on to the doorknob any longer. The commentary is this. Claustrophobia is a syndrome that graphically expresses the limitations that have developed in a person. There are many theories about the cause of this and other phobias, but Erickson does not concern himself with them. His concern is to help the sufferer eliminate her stifling feeling of constriction, to move beyond